Hi everyone. So I just came across this lovely book about leadership and the different levels of leadership. So I thought might as well share my learnings with all of you. So let's begin. Basically, what John Maxwell talks about is that there are five different types of leadership, starting from position leadership, which basically means that somebody is simply appointed as a leader and that's it. So the position is all he has and all he exercises initially, and then how gradually he moves up the ladder from position to being a permission leader, wherein he focuses more on building relationships with his team members, moving on from a permission level leadership to the third level leadership of production, where the leader along with his team starts to deliver results and people start following him because of what he starts delivering on behalf of the organization. Finally, moving on to the next step, and the most the leadership level that is often the target level for most is the people development level, wherein as a leader you start developing people to be more effective, to be more efficient, and people follow you because what you have done for them. And finally, the pinnacle of all, being the level wherein people follow you for who you are rather than what you have done. The impact of a pinnacle leader is far more and has a greater effect. Even when the fifth level leader leaves the organization, the culture he has set up stays on and becomes the guiding principle for that organization. So let's see what all is there. Okay, moving on. Some basic points on leadership. What we can see is basically so one of the points that I really liked from the book was that one of the critical points is, as a leader, my goal is to help people, but not to make them happy. Now, often when we see that while we are moving on from the position level leadership to the permission level leadership, which is level two from level one, we often confuse that to establish relations, we must make our team happy. So, as a leader, my goal is not exactly to make them happy, but to help them, to ensure that they are able to do their work better. Then, moving on to the second point, kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are endless. So, of course, it's pretty obvious. Like, you have to talk to your team members with kindness. Then a form of feedback, opinion, advice has to be a balance between care and candor. So down the line in the slides, we'll also see what is the balance that is being talked about. So care basically means that you have to have some sort of an empathy for your teammates. You have to understand that they are humans and not treat them as machines. At the same time, if you are giving some sort of a feedback or you are expressing your opinion to them, please be absolutely truthful. That is candor. Be true of what you feel about them, how you can ensure that they can get better. However, being truthful does not mean that you can start throwing arrows, which definitely means that you have to portray your point with care and with empathy. Finally, often it's a very common thing where we have heard many companies say that you are like family, welcome to so and so family in our organization. But the fact is, never confuse families and business. Families will value community over contribution, while businesses will always value contribution. A business will value you, respect you as long as you are contributing to the business and adding value to the marketplace. However, it's not the case with families. Okay, families basically value your belongingness, your presence and your commitment towards the family. Okay, so yes, there is a difference, and we may say things differently at organizations, but let it be very clear for you. Then finally, people are hired for what they know, and people are fired for who they are. So often people get fired not for doing a bad job, but rather for their for who they are, what characteristics they represent, and of course they are hired for the skills, the capabilities, and yeah, probably the potential that may hold. Finally, if I have to make the best decision for the largest group of people, therefore leaders give up their right to cater to an individual if it hurts the team or the organization. So as a leader, you might also have to figure out the rotten apples and ensure that they do not have a bad impact on your other team members. Even if that requires you to remove that apple from the other lot, then so be it. But yes, as a leader, that is one of the decisions that you might have to take from time to time. And based on my experience, it's not uncommon to find rotten apples in different teams, but you have to keep an eye and ensure that they do not impact the morale of the other team members. Moving on to some other points, let's see. So the higher you go up the ladder of leadership, the greater the return and greater the impact. So the next point actually explains this a little better. Often you might find that a CEO salary is even 100 times or even more than an entry level employee of an organization. That's because the amount of impact that is that a CEO can have is far greater. So let's say if he makes a statement and the share price of that stock, might move vehemently because of that statement or because of his decisions, which might impact, let's say the CEO of Apple, suppose he makes a statement, the stock might move by about $500 million for the statement that he has made. And uh, similarly, if that much amount of valuation has to increase, then a lot of work needs to be done by a number of people at the junior level, at the development level. So of course the impact that a higher leader can have is far greater, and therefore the the salary is also justified accordingly. Okay. Then more time and more commitment is required as you progress up the levels. Now of course with more power comes more responsibility. And so it's not that you can say, okay, I'm on Saturday, it's a Saturday, I might not be able to work, it's a Sunday. As a leader, you own your entire team, and greater commitment becomes not a prerogative anymore. It is more of a duty. No man is a leader until his appointment is ratified in the minds and hearts of his men. Okay, very important point. So you don't just become a leader by position unless and until the people that you are leading see you that way. Okay, so it has to be in the minds and hearts of the men. Good leaders are always good learners. The moment you stop being a good learner, you actually stop exhibiting the traits of a good leader. So always keep that in mind. Leadership is much less about what you do and much more about who you are. You will see that as you rise up the ladder, when you start reaching level 4, level 5, it will be more about your principles, your beliefs, your characteristics rather than what exactly you are doing. Because your presence would communicate and also frame in some manner the culture of the organization for your team members. So please bear this in mind. If you are an HR or if you are into recruitment, please ensure that you recruit the leadership with utmost care, because they impact a lot of people, and they will kind of you know carry over the culture of the organization to the bottom levels. Finally, as a leader, you are you a tyrant or a team builder? Do you come down on people or lift them up? Do you give orders or ask questions? Decide for yourself. So, of course, being a tyrant, coming down on people, giving orders is not something that is expected of a leader. Rather, you might ask questions and let them decide what they need to do. So, I often feel that, a leader is like the embankments of a river, ensuring that the river does not move out of its path. At the same time, the river carves out its own path. It's just that the leader ensures that they do not go haywire. Okay, moving on, let me share some characteristics of leadership. Okay, so you must get the work done without telling them what to do. Common form of leadership: asking the right questions so that the team comes up with its own answers. Please remember, leadership isn't a right, it's a privilege. Okay, each time we leave our comfort zone and conquer new territory, it expands and enlarges us. This is applicable not only for the leaders, but also for the team members. Anyone can steer a ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. Okay, just going anywhere without the vision is basically steering a ship, but not charting the course. So, as a leader, you must see where you are going, how you are going to go, and what help would you require from your team members. Also, one of us, however smart that one person may be, is definitely not as smart as all of us. So that's where the power of a team comes in. As a leader, I'm not supposed to know all the answers, okay, but definitely I am supposed to coordinate between the people so that we can get the best of the answers as a team. Shifting from rules and policies to relationship is very important. I would say that there has to be a balance between the policies and the relationships. Only policies or only relationships would not take you very far. Okay. Okay, now you must be seeing what this is. Let me tell you what basically in the book he talks about how do team members get influenced. So the most common characteristic is leading by examples. So as a leader, if you are leading by example, that has the greatest impact on your team members. If you are following strong ethics or morals, that comes a close second. Knowledge of the business you are in, how fair you are seen to be by your team members, overall intelligence and competence, and finally recognition of these employees. So these are some of the characteristics that determine how your team members see you as a leader. Okay, then there are different types of leadership that you follow with different people. So the first level or the basic level is when you tell your team members that you report it to me and I'll decide what action needs to be taken. Moving on from there, you report with the pros and cons and I decide. Okay, so this is a little more reporting with some more insights. Finally, you report and recommend and I approve, only then you act. This is a little more to the team member. And finally, you give more freedom to your team members where you say you act unless I ask not to. You act and let me know what you did. And finally, you act and no need to let me know. So as you scale up, as you move forward, you go higher up, probably with the team members where you trust a lot, where you know about his capabilities, skills, attitudes, etc. You can finally start doing this, taking this final step. This is crucial for scalability. Okay, but of course this takes time to build and to reach this level. Moving on, here what we are doing, we are basically comparing the competency of a leader and the position he has been offered. So I'll tell you how position and competency go hand in hand. Let's say there are freshers joining in. Okay, their position might be low because they have just joined in, and their competency levels might also be low because they are freshers, they might not be aware of a lot of things, so they would typically be here. Okay, now there might be times when there is a leader. Okay, he has been made a leader, but his competency levels are poor. Competency not just of the skills, but also as a leader who is poor at taking decisions, who does not have a bias for action, who is not typically, ownership oriented, discourages you more than encouraging you, etc. So here what happens is it is very dangerous for the organization. The team members don't trust the leader to deliver results, and frustration is palpable among the team members, including the leader who often feels frustrated himself. This is that quadrant. Now, this quadrant is where the position is low, but the leader is highly capable. He has all the leadership skills. For some reason or the other, he is not being promoted or has not been promoted yet. So they are highly competent people ready to move up the position formally, of course, with some level of training if required. Quick action for the recognition with greater responsibilities. They are more action oriented as well. One of the basic traits of leadership is being action oriented. And often, if they are not moved up with recognition, then they themselves will move out some way or the other, or they will be highly demotivated. Finally, coming to the quadrant, which is the ideal. So here you have a lot of leaders that are competent and have high position. They they ensure that the teams are developed, and with this, the company becomes a growth powerhouse. If there are a lot of leaders, who are dominant in this quadrant, this can also become one of the differentiating qualities of that organization, where the leaders are more competent and have higher uh, positions, so they can take faster decisions, be more action oriented, and the results delivered are far more. Okay, moving on. So the five levels of leadership that we had discussed in the first slide, let's see. So this is the first level. First step is the position leadership. This is leadership by appointment. Here, basically, what happens is it is appointment based on degree. Maybe you have done an MBA, you get a position based on assessment or due to some sort of nepotism, due to inheritance. You might just come in and your dad owns the organization. Of course, you will become a CEO very easily. Due to good work in the previous role, you may be, handed over the role of a leader. However, to be assigned as the first level leader, you need not have proved your leadership skills as such. Leadership is an influence as people go along with needles, they get along with. It will be leadership is influence as people go along with the people they get along with. This level focuses on the value of each person. You may care for people without leading them, but you cannot lead people without caring for them. Okay. So, of course, you have to care for them to actually effectively lead them properly. So this is about the position leadership. There's not much. Okay, you might find some leaders who are extremely arrogant and they often use words like you have to do this because I say so. So this is a very poor form of leadership and shows an immature leader. Okay. Moving on to the next level, which is the second level, which is more of a permission leader. So this is where the influence on the people and relationship building starts to happen. This level focuses on the value of each person. You may care for people. Okay. Critical point is as a leader, my goal is to help people but not to make them happy. We already discussed this. Kind words can be short and easy and speak, but their echoes are endless. Form of feedback, opinion, advice has to have a balance between care and candor. So, like I was talking about, this is the care y axis. We have care, and this is candor, which is truth. So it has to be balanced. Okay. Ideal way of feedback is with care and true feedback. Feedback is taken up well, situation improves, feeling of gratitude and thanks, etc. Now this is the worst way where you are lying and you are saying it very bluntly. It is disaster for tasks and relations. Okay, then this is the quadrant where though you show care, but sorry, though you are truthful, but you do not show care and you do not empathize. So here you start scolding your employee. This is probably one of the common areas that I have seen leaders, how they give feedback to their employees. They start shouting at them sometimes, though what they are saying is true, and so it's like feedback without care is like cake without sugar, so you know how tasteless it would be. Finally, coming here where you show a lot of care but you are not truthful, you're faking it. This is in fact another form of cheating, false representation, and it's one of the it is I personally feel this is worse than this quadrant. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so let's complete some other points. So do not confuse families and business. We have already covered this. People are hired for what they know, and people are fired for who they are. I have to make the best decision for the largest group of people. Therefore, leaders give up the right to cater to an individual if it hurts the team or the organization. So do what is right for the organization rather than an individual. Okay. Finally, moving to the third step, which is the production leadership. This is leadership by delivering results. This is where the confidence steps in for that leader. Okay, so this level brings in clarity and reality to the vision by delivering results. Okay, till now we have been talking, we have been building relations, we have been given the post, but unless and until we are able to deliver results, no leader can sustain for long without delivering. Okay, so production leadership creates momentum. So one of the things that John Maxwell talks about is to create momentum is more important than actually getting down to work, because once momentum is set between the team, your work will automatically start getting done. So one of the areas of setting up a momentum is, let's say, having scrum calls, whether you are in sales or you are in project development. If you have scrum calls, you are kind of setting a momentum. Now, he also talks about that there are different types of people. So some are momentum takers, momentum breakers, and momentum makers. So momentum makers are those who actually ensure that the team moves ahead. They will proactively reach out to you, proactively reach out to the team members, push them to do more, and would be very excited, would be high on energy, would be willing to learn. So they are the typical momentum makers, and they are a huge positive for the team. Coming to momentum takers, they are kind of they will not proactively initiate anything, but they will not break the momentum either. They will go along, and 70% of your team members would fall in this category. Finally, there are few momentum breakers. These are those typical people who would pull your team back with come out they will come out with reasons as to why they cannot work.
rather than putting up or giving you solutions. Be careful with them. If required, take action. Okay. Moving on, worrying about winning. If you winning, okay. So if you win, your enemies can't hurt you, and if you lose, your friends can't stand you. So anyway, you should always focus about winning. Productivity starts with the leader. Structured communication leads to clear direction, which produces a smooth execution. Okay. So ensure this happens, because fuzzy communication will lead to unclear direction and will definitely produce a poor execution. The job of a leader is to build a complementary team where the strength of an individual is made effective and his weakness is made irrelevant. There are other few laws applicable to teamwork. The strength of a team is determined by its weakest link. Rotten attitude ruins a team. Okay, so ensure that you move the bad apple out. The team can make adjustments only when it knows where it stands. Always have scoreboards. It ensures you perform well and the team knows where it is. Now, as Narayan Murthy had also said in one of his interviews, when he was asked that what is that one thing which is key to productivity, he said that prioritization is one of the most important things. So always see that the team is prioritizing what is really important. Eliminate things that you shouldn't be doing. Companies get better when their people get better. That is why investing in people always gives a greater return to an organization. Train and develop other people to carry the load. So basically, these points we'll cover in detail in the next level, which is level 4. It talks about people development. Okay. Now, this is the fourth step. If you see, sorry, yeah, this is the fourth step where this is leadership by developing efficient people. Now, one of the biggest expectation and returns that a leader can give is when he can develop his people. Okay. Uh, it is easy to replicate physical assets, but it's extremely difficult to replicate the dedication and the teamwork skills of a company employees. Okay, so this is where one should focus on, and the other thing is this is long term, this is not short term. So typically as you move up the ladder, the responsibility of a leader moves from short term objectives to long term goals, wherein he has to see long term and ensure that leaders develop more people. Never allow yourself to become the lead of your organization. Give me the best chance for a bright future by developing other leaders. So often you might feel that there are some people who are focusing on themselves. They are just getting better themselves, focusing on improving themselves. But that's not the best thing for the organization. For the organization, one should focus on developing better people so that it becomes scalable and the organization is able to run much faster. Here, a fourth level leader expected to balance between bias for action and having quality thinking time, which is critical for growth. Okay, now this is the balance which is highly desirable. Helping others get what they want will help you get what you want. This is a very common statement said by Brian Tracy and others also. Always see how you can help others get what they want, and automatically you will start getting what you want. As leaders, goal is not to control people or stay on top of things, but rather to guide, energize, and excite them. So if your boss asks you something, okay, what is the report on this? It's okay if you do not know the details. That is not what is exactly expected of you. However, you should focus that your people are energized, excited, and your people should be able to give the reports as and when required. As a leader, your job is to work yourself out of your job. So if you are staying in a job for very long and the teams are getting dependent on you, then you are not exhibiting true leadership. You should see how you can move out of your position. Finally, coming to the top pinnacle level, where we talk about growing other leaders. This is leadership by developing efficient leaders. This is the fifth step. So some of the things that you should focus on are don't spend time on the wrong people. Okay. Often the troublemakers will try to consume maximum amount of time from you. Select the individuals which you feel have the greatest potential and ensure you give your focus and attention to them, because they need appreciation more than anything else. Commit to spend the time needed to develop the leaders. I was reading somewhere, I think some other book, wherein they also mentioned that you should have, uh, I think it was a book by What Makes by John Doerr. Okay, you get what you measure type of a book. So there they were talking about always have scheduled meetings with your leaders and your team members where you simply talk about what is going on in their lives, irrespective of the discussion you have on work. You basically need to ask them, talk to them, that what is it that they are going to do in the next 2 weeks, including, if they are willing to share in their personal lives. That will help you a lot build bonds with them, and will also help you to control attrition. So again, another point was that the eye of a true master will do more work than both his hands, which basically means that as a leader, your ability to see, discern, and analyze is far more important than your ability to work yourself. Okay, so so be careful about that. Okay, the process must be measurable. The process must have a frequency. The true test of a level 5 leader is that he leaves behind him in adamant the conviction and the will to carry on. Okay, even in a free society, one has the right to speak, but one always needs to earn the right to be heard. Okay, so you are free to speak, but people will not listen to you. So you have that right has to be earned. So either you develop people and move out. A leader who is willing to develop people to the point that they eventually surpass him in knowledge and ability. Some signs of poor leadership also we can cover. Okay, so what I understood from the book was like, you should have lesser debates. If there are lesser debates and discussions, that shows that the leadership is not very strong. There is a dictatorial sense of governance. There's not much you can talk about or raise points about. Okay, there's a decline in quality delivery, or no or little clarity on the why part. You are just asked to uh, get going and start working. There are constant directives on the how part, and there's little freedom at the bottom level. Okay, there is an imbalance of processes and structure with relationships. So these are some of the signs that you can look out for and make improvements accordingly. Okay, and I think this helped you. Okay, so I tried covering the entire book and with all the points. So of course it got a little lengthy, but I think this will be very useful if you want to brush up a course on leadership. Okay, let me know how you found it. Thank you. Bye.